If I asked you to close your eyes and picture a horse, around 96 to 99% of you would be able to use your mind's eye to clearly see that horse in your head. For the rest of you who couldn't conjure up that image, you may have aphantasia, a condition that is characterized by a lack of a mind's eye. Before this, many who have aphantasia had no idea others processed information differently. Aphantasia is the inability to voluntarily visualize mental images. A neurological variation affects how people think, dream, remember, and learn. When someone with aphantasia tries to visualize an apple, a loved one's face, or a childhood memory, they experience no mental pictures. Instead, their mind works with facts, concepts, and knowledge. When a study was performed on people who claimed to have a visual imagination, and those who believed they may have aphantasia, the authors noticed something unusual. While both sets of participants' pupils dilated when presented with a bright or dark visual stimuli, only the pupils of those with a visual imagination dilated when imagining said stimuli, without it being physically there, whilst the pupils in those without a mind's eye did not significantly dilate. The pupillary reflex is an adaptation that optimizes the amount of light hitting the retina. Applying this reflex as a way to measure mental imagery means scientists are on their way to creating an objective physiological test to see if someone truly has aphantasia, rather than relying on their own subjective experience. Alongside not being able to generate mental images, aphantasia makes people less capable of recalling key events from their life history. After scanning the brains of volunteers with aphantasia, scientists found that this impaired autobiographical memory is underscored by abnormal connectivity between the hippocampus, which is an area of the brain that aids in mental imagery and is a major memory hub, and the visual cortex. This led scientists to wonder whether an inability to imagine places, people, or events from the past might also result in poorer autobiographical memory among aphantasics. Their research showed that people with aphantasia not only report fewer details of memories, but their narratives are less vivid, and their confidence in their own memory is diminished, suggesting our ability to remember our personal biography is closely linked to our imagination. Aphantasic participants often explain that they knew how a particular place felt, but could not recreate that space in front of their mind's eye. For instance, one individual described the experience by saying, "I can put my consciousness in my kitchen at home and feel all around, but there is no visual image attached to this feeling." As research has progressed, we've learned that there are also subtypes of aphantasia. Some people may have difficulty recognizing faces, while others don't. Some have issues with autobiographical memory, the memory of your own personal history. In a small number of people with aphantasia, it appears to be linked with traits commonly seen in autistic people. Now, if you're wondering whether there is a way for the mind's eye to be activated, there are actually 2 case reports which have highlighted potential of psychedelics to fire up the mind's eye. The first was a man who suddenly started seeing internal images following a single dose of the Amazon hallucinogen ayahuasca, while the second concerns a 34-year-old woman who experienced the same effect after taking magic mushrooms. In the latter example, the individual experienced a sudden explosion of internal vision, jumping from the minimum to the maximum score on a standardized test for mental imagery. A year later, the woman's score had dropped to around average, indicating that a single dose of psilocybin can produce a sustained reversal of aphantasia. At present, though, it's unclear how common this effect is, or whether psychedelics have the potential to enhance mental imagery in every person with aphantasia. Therefore, the researchers urge caution when administering psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy to people with aphantasia, as there is no telling how the experience might alter their internal imagery, or how this might affect their mental health in the long term. Besides, aphantasia may not be a disadvantage. An inability to visualize scary images means those with aphantasia may not react as strongly to spooky stories. Aphantasia may also be an advantage in the scientific world, as research shows that it may have certain benefits to working in technical sectors, whilst those at the other end of the spectrum with hyperphantasia, which is a super vivid visual imagination, may be predisposed to succeed in the arts. Overall, though, it's important to raise awareness that some people just don't have the ability to generate mental images, and we need to ensure we encourage other ways of learning and engaging.